Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Griffin, and I'm a filmmaker based out of Orange County, California. And today I'm going to be giving you my first impressions of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. So over the last 2 weeks, I've had the chance to shoot a lot with the Pocket 6K Pro, and I've kind of gathered some of my first impressions. One of the days I actually got together with my buddy Armando, and we got to shoot together, and he's actually going to be dropping a video on his channel today as well. And he's going to be covering a few things on his channel, like the new built-in ND filters, the new flip out screen that's on the camera, as well as just sort of the overall design of the camera. So make sure after this video you go check his channel out, and he's gonna go into a little more depth on those topics. So what I wanted to do in this video is just kind of take you guys out in the field with me, give you some of my first impressions, and then after that we'll come back to the studio and we'll look at some of the footage together, and I'll kind of share some of my general thoughts. One cool thing that was improved on the Pocket 6K was the battery life. With the original one, it had pretty poor battery life, so you almost had to always be running it off like a V mount or a gold mount. Then you've got to have rails in your camera, makes the whole thing a lot bigger. So one of the things that attracted to me about the Pocket 6K was they came out with a battery grip, which makes it kind of a comparable size to like a 1DX. It's actually a little bit bigger than a 1DX with the battery grip. But you can put 2 batteries in here, and they're the Sony NPF style, and you put 1 more in the camera, which gives you a total of around 3 hours battery life. So that's kind of one of the cool features about the Pocket 6K. One of my favorite things about Blackmagic cameras, on top of the nice menus, they're really easy to use, but they offer a lot of different compression ratios. So you can shoot ProRes or Blackmagic RAW. They're both really good. Now I personally love ProRes because of how easy it is to edit on your computer, and sometimes they'll have commercial clients that specifically request ProRes files. So it's nice, you can do it right in camera. But it's also got Blackmagic RAW, which gives you even more flexibility, and that's what we're shooting today. Now it's pretty cool. You can shoot 12:1, 8:1, 5:1, 3:1, and it gives you just these are different compression ratios. So this is going to be smaller files, this is going to be bigger files, obviously with a little more data, which is a little better for color grading. So today we're shooting a mixture of 12:1 and 8:1, but I do really like that. That was one of my big complaints about cameras like the C500 Mark II and the C200. They only give you 1 compression ratio. So you're really stuck with whatever you shoot. Whereas with this camera, you can have some really big, strong files if it's a really important project. But if it's something just kind of like social media, something maybe you don't care about as much, you can drop down to 12:1 and you won't have to deal with as big of files. One of the things that I don't love about the Pocket 6K is it's got an EF mount, which is kind of a good thing and a bad thing. So I have a ton of EF glass already, which it's nice that lenses like the 85 1.4, they can fit on there natively. The only thing I don't like about that is more recently with the C70, I've been using it on bigger productions where I'm shooting PL mount glass. So with the RF mount that's on the C70, I can just use a RF to PL mount adapter, and they don't make an adapter like that for the EF mount. And then on top of that, since this is a Super 35 sensor and it has EF mount, you can't use a speed booster with it. I know there's one from like Magic Boosters or something, but I heard bad things, so maybe tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. But those are some of the reasons that I actually prefer the RF mount over the EF mount, and that's one of the things that I don't love about the Pocket 6K. So after getting back to the studio and having the chance to look at some of the footage, I gotta say my first impressions were the footage is really incredible. I love the way that the footage looks. I can even actually drop some of my LUTs that I use with all my Canon footage, my C70 LUTs. I just dropped that right on. I actually use the Pacific LUT on this footage you're seeing right now. But I really like the way it looks. Honestly, it has a lot of similarities with the Canon footage, and I think a lot of people would be interested to know, how does this camera compare to the Canon C70? And I actually have a video coming on my channel next week that covers that exact topic and puts the footage side by side, and I did a lot of testing. So if you're interested in that, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button. I've had the chance to shoot on a lot of high-end cinema cameras like Reds, Alexas, you name it. I mean, I've probably shot on them. but this footage, in my opinion, it's really right up there in that same caliber. It's really top quality footage, and the fact that you can get it for $2,500 and it's pretty much a ready to go package now, I think it's probably the best buy you can get on the market at that price point. So one of the things I was curious about was the slow motion capabilities of this camera. The way it works with this camera is when it's shooting in 120 frames per second, it crops into the sensor. So, I was kind of curious if the footage was any good. Now, I'd say it's definitely usable. I'd say the biggest downside is you're gonna have to find a lens that's pretty wide if you wanna get a shot that's medium. And if you're looking to shoot any wide angle slow motion, I would say you're probably gonna have a little bit of a tough time in terms of lens choices, just because it really crops into the sensor quite a bit. I'm not sure the exact crop factor, but I can put that up on the screen right here. And I would say that's definitely one of the things that I see as a challenge with this camera. In terms of dynamic range, I think this camera is really solid. I think it's right up there with pretty much all the other cinema cameras that are at a similar place. I think the Alexa probably has a little bit more dynamic range in the highlights. How does it compare to my C500 or my C70 or the C200? I don't know, but I'm probably going to do those comparisons on my channel and find out for myself because I'm pretty curious. This is a camera that's at a significantly lower price point. And from what I can tell so far, just from my general first impressions, it's really top quality footage. So anyways, guys, like I mentioned, this was really kind of just a first impressions. It wasn't like a super in-depth review, and it wasn't a comparison either. But I do have a comparison coming on my channel next week with the C70. And make sure you go check out Armando's video. I know he's dropping that at the same time as me. And he's covering some of the things with the camera, like some of the new design features, the new screen, which it's pretty cool actually, as well as the ND filters. So I'll leave a link to his channel at the end of this video as well. But if you like this kind of content, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.